Hey guys, this is Trey Talley, the pastor of the church at Pecan Creek. So when is the right time to share the gospel? This is a question that we struggle with so often in our lives, and some people struggle with it so much that they just never tell anyone about the gospel of Jesus Christ. Different studies are out there, but one of the main ones I looked at showed that over 92% of professing Christians will never share the gospel in their entire lives. So apparently no time was the right time to share the gospel for them, which of course we know is not correct. So when is the right time to share the gospel? Sometimes we keep putting this off and putting it off and just never get around to it, even though we know we need to share the gospel with someone. Sometimes we think it's just not the right time, the not time of day, it's just not the right conversation, and we always put it off for something else. And we think everything has to be just right. They need to be in just the right mood. I need to be in just the right mood. I need to have just enough time. Is the barometric pressure just right? And somehow, some way, it just never is all quite right. Now, Paul, the Apostle Paul, was quite different than that. It seems like any time, all the time, was a great time to share the gospel. In Acts chapter 21 and 22 that we've been going through on Sundays, we find that Paul has just gotten beaten by the anti-Christ Jews, those who did not believe that Jesus was the Christ. They drug him out of the temple. They beat him. They kicked him. They were actually trying to murder him. He was rescued by some Roman soldiers who gather around him, pick him up and lift him and get him out of there. They take him up the steps, and the most amazing thing happens. Instead of just saying, "Thank you guys for saving me, get me out of here," or turning around and saying bad things to the people that just beat him and kicked him and punched him and were trying to kill him, he asked for permission to speak to these people. And what does he say? He waves, gets their attention. They all get quiet. He turns and tells them the gospel. He tells them about Jesus Christ, and he tells them his testimony. Now, a lot of people's testimonies are very weak and not Christ-centered, but Paul's testimony is completely Christ-centered. But he tells them all about Jesus Christ. The very people who were hating him, because he believed that Jesus is the Christ, he turns around and tells them in even more detail that Jesus is the Christ. And my point to you today is this: don't look for times not to share the gospel or reasons not to share the gospel. We're looking at it from the wrong way. We should always be looking at it as a great time to share the gospel with someone. And when you really think about it, why not share the gospel versus why share the gospel? If you listed out the pros and listed out the cons, really, why should we share the gospel? Would win every time. In other words, share the gospel. Paul, beat up, bruised, battered, we imagine even bleeding at this time. People are yelling at him. Hundreds, many historians say probably thousands in this mob were trying to kill him. But yet he looks at this angry crowd, and it's as if he thinks, look at these sinful people, these people who hate me. They need to be saved. And how can they be saved? They need the gospel of Jesus Christ. And how will they hear the gospel? I have the gospel. I will stand here and I will tell them the gospel. And you are that person as well. If you are a believer in Jesus Christ, you have received the gospel, you have believed the gospel, then speak the gospel to those who need to be saved. Thanks for listening today. I hope you have a great day.